On the evening of March 15, 2015, in the glittering city of Dubai, Sheikh Jasim Al-Rashid returned to his palatial mansion in Emirates Hills after what seemed like an ordinary business trip to Mumbai. Little did he know that this trip would introduce him to a 23-year-old Indian girl named Riya, whose innocent smile would soon become the weapon that destroyed his entire family. It was 11:30 p.m. when Jasim stepped into his marble-floored living room, his heart still racing from thoughts of the beautiful translator he had met just days before. His mother, sitting in her favorite armchair watching the evening news, looked up with curious eyes and asked about his unusually bright mood. "I think I've found her, Mama," he said with a smile that hadn't left his face since leaving India. "I found the woman I want to marry." The most shocking part? Everything that was about to unfold had been planned months before Jasim even stepped foot in that Mumbai conference hall. Sheikh Jasim Al-Rashid was not just another wealthy businessman in a city full of them. At 42, he had inherited and expanded his father's oil services empire into a $180 million operation that employed over 3,000 people across the Middle East. His name carried weight in Dubai's business circles, not just for his wealth, but for his character. He was known throughout the city for his business philanthropy and unwavering support for education initiatives that had transformed countless lives. Yet behind the success lay a deep loneliness that money couldn't cure. 3 years earlier, his marriage had ended in a painful divorce when his wife couldn't have children. The devastation went beyond personal heartbreak in a culture where family lineage meant everything. The sprawling 12-bedroom mansion overlooking Dubai Marina, with its infinity pool and panoramic views, felt more like a beautiful prison than a home. Every evening, he would stand on his terrace, watching the lights of the city sparkle below, wondering if he would ever find someone who truly understood him. His 68-year-old mother had been applying gentle but persistent pressure for him to remarry. "The Al-Rashid name needs to continue," she would remind him during their weekly family dinners, her voice carrying the weight of generations. The pressure wasn't just from his mother. His 2 younger brothers, Khalid and Omar, watched his every move, while members of the business council questioned whether a man who couldn't manage his personal life could be trusted with major family investments. Traditional Emirati values ran deep in his blood, yet his international business dealings had given him a sophisticated worldview that made him different from many of his peers. After years of transactional relationships with women who were more interested in his bank account than his heart, Jasim had almost given up hope of finding genuine love. He craved authenticity, someone who would love him for who he was, not what he owned. This desperate longing for real connection would soon become his greatest weakness. The story truly begins in Mumbai on March 12, 2015. The International Oil and Gas Conference at the Grand Hyatt was in full swing, with hundreds of industry professionals from around the world networking in the opulent ballroom. When his regular Arabic-Hindi interpreter called in sick at the last minute, the event organizers scrambled to find a replacement. That's when Riya Sharma stepped into his life. At 23, she possessed an elegance that seemed natural rather than practiced, moving through the crowd with a respectful manner that immediately caught Jasim's attention. Unlike the other translators who seemed eager to impress the wealthy attendees, Riya appeared genuinely surprised and humbled when he personally thanked her for her assistance. How innocent she looked, how pure her intentions seemed. "It's my pleasure, sir," she said softly, her eyes downcast in a way that seemed culturally respectful rather than submissive. "I hope I didn't make any mistakes with the technical terms." Her voice carried just a hint of nervousness that made her seem endearingly human rather than polished. The perfect picture of innocence. Over the next 4 days, their professional interactions gradually became more personal. During coffee breaks between conference sessions, Jasim found himself drawn into conversations about her life. She was an engineering graduate, she explained, working multiple jobs to support her widowed mother after her father died in a tragic factory accident. Her dreams of pursuing an MBA abroad seemed impossible due to her family's financial struggles. Yet she spoke about her circumstances without self-pity. Such an innocent approach to life's hardships. "Education is the only way to break the cycle," she told him during one of their evening conversations after the conference sessions ended. "My father always said knowledge is the one thing no one can take away from you." These words resonated deeply with Jasim, who had built his own empire on education and self-improvement. How could he know that this innocent philosophy was actually a carefully rehearsed script? Jasim began to see himself as her guardian angel, someone who could change her life trajectory. When they exchanged phone numbers on his last day in Mumbai, he felt something he hadn't experienced in years: genuine hope for a meaningful connection. Their late-night phone conversations became the highlight of his days back in Dubai. Riya spoke about her simple life with such gratitude that it made Jasim's own abundance feel hollow. Her innocent wonder at his descriptions of Dubai life charmed him completely. Yet there were subtle red flags that Jasim chose to ignore. She sometimes took hours to respond to his messages, claiming she was working multiple jobs. When he asked about her exact hometown in Rajasthan, her answers remained vague. Most telling were the background voices during their calls, male voices she quickly explained away as neighbors in her apartment building. When Jasim announced his intentions to marry Riya, his family's reaction was mixed. His mother worried about another foreign woman after his previous marriage's failure. His brothers expressed concerns about potential gold-digger motives. "You barely know this girl," his brother Khalid argued during a heated family meeting. "At least let us verify her background properly." But Jasim's emotional defense was fierce. "Love requires trust, not suspicion," he declared. "She's not like the others, she's genuinely innocent." The cultural bridge Riya built during their video calls was masterful. She demonstrated natural understanding of UAE customs, quickly learning Arabic greetings that delighted Jasim's female relatives. Her stories of charity work with poor children in Mumbai particularly moved his mother. Such innocent dedication to helping others. "She has a good heart," his mother admitted after one video call. "And she's not asking for anything that's rare these days." The family gradually found themselves enchanted by her apparent authentic goodness and innocence, exactly as she had planned from the very beginning. By April 2015, Jasim's decision was final. He would spare no expense for what he believed would be the wedding of a lifetime. The $1.8 million budget was just the beginning of what would become Dubai's most talked-about social event of the year. The Burj Al Arab, that iconic sail-shaped symbol of luxury, was booked for the entire weekend in June. Jasim wanted everything perfect for his innocent bride-to-be. Riya's family began arriving from India 2 weeks before the ceremony. What Jasim didn't know was that half of these people were hired actors, while the others were distant relatives who had been paid handsomely to play specific roles. Her loving uncle was actually a struggling theater performer from Mumbai. Her devoted cousin sister was a woman Riya had met at a coffee shop just months earlier. Even her childhood friend was part of the elaborate charade, complete with fabricated stories about their school days together. The innocent family background was as fake as her innocent persona. The wedding preparations revealed Riya's masterful performance skills. She maintained the perfect balance of gratitude and grace, often breaking into tears when discussing how blessed she felt to join such a wonderful family. During the traditional henna ceremony, she sat beside Jasim's mother, learning about Emirati customs with what appeared to be genuine fascination. Her innocent curiosity about every tradition seemed so authentic. "I want to honor your traditions, Mama," she said softly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I want to be the daughter you always dreamed of." Jasim's mother was so moved that she removed her own gold bangles and placed them on Riya's wrists as a symbol of acceptance. The innocent bride had won over the most important woman in the family. Riya documented every moment on Instagram, carefully crafting posts about her journey into Emirati culture. Her caption spoke of feeling overwhelmed by the love and acceptance and being grateful for this new chapter. The comments poured in from around the world, praising the beautiful cross-cultural love story and the bride's innocent approach to embracing her new culture. But behind the scenes, warning signs were multiplying. 3 days before the wedding, Riya received an urgent call. Her cousin needed $15,000 for emergency medical treatment. Without hesitation, Jasim transferred the money, touched by her innocent concern for family. What he didn't realize was that this money went directly into an account controlled by her real husband back in India. During pre-wedding interviews with different family members, Riya's childhood stories began showing inconsistencies. She told Jasim's aunt that she grew up in Jaipur, but informed his brother that her childhood was spent in a small village outside Udaipur. When questioned about these differences, she would become emotional, claiming that memories of her father's death made some details painful to recall. Her innocent tears made everyone feel guilty for questioning her. Most disturbing were her phone conversations in a regional Hindi dialect that she had previously claimed not to speak. When caught, she explained it away as something she had learned from domestic workers in her building. The innocent explanation satisfied Jasim, who was too blinded by love to see the deception. The wedding itself was a spectacle that would be remembered for years. 400 guests from UAE's most prominent families filled the Burj Al Arab's royal suite in June 2015. The ceremony beautifully combined traditions, with Riya appearing to seamlessly embrace every ritual. Her innocent joy during each ceremony seemed to move everyone present. Arabian Business magazine featured them on the cover, calling it a marriage of cultures. Gulf News Society pages dedicated 4 full pages to the celebration. As the weeks passed after the wedding, Riya settled into her new life with the skill of a professional actress. Jasim had gifted her a luxury penthouse in Dubai Marina worth $2.1 million, where she created the perfect image of domestic bliss. Shopping expeditions resulted in jewelry gifts totaling over $400,000, each piece carefully chosen and photographed for her growing social media presence. Her innocent delight at each gift seemed so genuine. She quickly integrated into Dubai's elite Indian expatriate community, strategically networking with other wealthy Middle Eastern wives. Her charity work with underprivileged children brought positive media attention to the Al-Rashid family name, making Jasim even prouder of his choice. Such innocent dedication to helping others, everyone said. Daily video calls with Jasim's mother became routine, showing her cooking traditional Emirati dishes alongside Indian specialties. She studied Arabic intensively, impressing the extended family with her rapid progress. When minor family disputes arose, she mediated with wisdom that seemed far beyond her 23 years. Her innocent insights somehow always brought family members together. "Your wife is a treasure," Jasim's business partners told him repeatedly. "She has brought such stability to your life." These comments only reinforced his belief that he had found his perfect match. The innocent bride who asked for nothing but gave everything. Riya played the role of the perfect wife flawlessly. She attended daily family calls, spent afternoons cooking, and participated in evening cultural events. She always sought permission for purchases, appearing completely non-materialistic. Her constant expressions of gratitude made her seem like the most appreciative person alive. The picture of innocent devotion. "I just want to earn my place in this family through good deeds," she would say, her voice heavy with emotion. "I want to make you proud, and maybe one day earn UAE residency because I've truly contributed to this society." Such innocent ambitions. By August 2015, financial integration began. A joint Emirates NBD account was established, followed by multiple credit cards with combined limits exceeding $200,000. Investments were created in her name for tax benefits, and she was added as co-owner to upcoming downtown Dubai property developments. The money trail that would eventually expose her began innocuously. Regular transfers to support her mother's kidney treatment seemed natural and compassionate. Charitable donations to rural education organizations back home made Jasim proud of her generous spirit. Her investment in a women's empowerment business for underprivileged girls appeared noble and selfless, all of it wrapped in such innocent intentions. When she purchased ancestral family property in Rajasthan for sentimental value, Jasim saw it as touching devotion to her roots. Her growing financial independence seemed admirable, the sign of a woman who wanted to contribute rather than just consume. Everything appeared perfect. Riya had successfully convinced everyone that she was exactly what she appeared to be. An innocent, grateful young woman who had found love and was determined to honor it. But this innocence was exactly what made her so dangerous. By September 2015, just 3 months after the wedding, Abdul Rahman, Jasim's most trusted business partner and longtime friend, noticed something troubling in the financial reports. During their monthly review meeting, Abdul pointed to a series of international transfers that seemed unusual for their typical business operations. "Jasim, these transfers to India," Abdul said carefully. "They're happening with remarkable frequency, almost $30,000 every month since the wedding." When Jasim explained they were for Riya's family medical expenses and charitable work, Abdul nodded but couldn't shake his unease. The amounts were too consistent, too regular for genuine emergencies, especially from someone who appeared so innocently grateful for everything. Without telling Jasim, Abdul quietly hired Hassan al-Mahmoud, one of Dubai's most discreet private investigators. Hassan's initial findings were disturbing. Riya's claimed engineering degree from Delhi University had no record in their alumni database. Her previous employment history with 3 different companies in Mumbai showed gaps and inconsistencies that suggested fabrication. For someone who seemed so innocently honest about everything, her background was surprisingly murky. But the most shocking discovery came from social media forensics. Hassan found deleted Facebook photos from 2013 showing Riya in what appeared to be wedding attire with a man who definitely wasn't Jasim. Phone records revealed daily calls to a number registered to someone named Vikram Patel in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. These weren't occasional family calls, they were intimate, lengthy conversations happening at times when she claimed to be sleeping. The innocent bride was leading a very different life in secret. Meanwhile, Riya's behavior had begun shifting in subtle but noticeable ways. The grateful, deferential young woman was becoming increasingly confident and demanding. She requested expensive international shopping trips to Paris and London, claiming she needed to represent the family properly at social events. The innocent girl who had been overwhelmed by a simple gold bracelet was now expecting designer jewelry without asking. When Jasim's mother suggested she dress more conservatively for a family gathering, Riya's response was sharp and defensive. "I think I know how to dress appropriately," she snapped, a tone she had never used before. The sweet, innocent compliance was being replaced by entitlement and irritation when questioned about anything. Her weekend disappearances became more frequent and mysterious. She claimed to be doing charity work in specific areas of Dubai's Indian community, but when family members tried to visit these organizations, they found no record of her involvement. Extended trips to India for family medical emergencies were now happening monthly, each time requiring urgent fund transfers. The innocent explanations were becoming less believable. Most tellingly, when asked for specific details about these emergencies, Riya became emotional and defensive. "Why are you interrogating me like I'm a criminal?" she would cry. "I'm trying to help my dying mother, and you want documentation?" Her innocent tears were now being used as weapons to stop questions. Jasim's mother was the first family member to voice concerns openly. During a private conversation with her other sons, she shared her growing doubts. "Her stories about childhood keep changing," she confided. "She seemed so innocent and honest at first, but now I'm noticing inconsistencies everywhere." The brothers' wives reported even stranger conversations. Riya had begun asking detailed questions about divorce laws in the UAE, property rights for expatriate wives, and inheritance procedures. When confronted about these topics, she claimed she was asking for a friend who was having marital problems. The innocent curiosity about family traditions had shifted to calculated interest in legal protections. Business advisors noticed the financial irregularities too. The regular transfers to India were substantial enough to affect the family's cash flow, and the pattern suggested systematic extraction rather than occasional support. For someone who had seemed so innocently grateful for any help, she was remarkably efficient at moving money out of the country. Hassan's investigation uncovered the most damning evidence yet. Bank records showed systematic money transfers to accounts in Rajasthan that had no connection to any medical facility or charitable organization. Property records revealed multiple purchases under variations of Riya's name, including a luxury apartment in Jaipur purchased in August 2015, just 2 months after her wedding to Jasim. The digital trail was devastating. Hassan discovered WhatsApp conversations that had been accidentally backed up to a cloud service Riya wasn't aware of. The messages showed intimate exchanges with someone she called my real husband, and included detailed discussions about their Dubai operation and timeline for maximum extraction. The innocent bride had been reporting on her target like a spy. Email communications revealed the true scope of the deception. Messages to someone explicitly identified as my real family discussed property investments, business opportunities, and plans for bringing her real husband to Dubai once they had extracted sufficient funds from the Al-Rashid family. The innocent girl supporting her poor family was actually funding a sophisticated criminal operation. Travel records showed multiple Dubai visits before 2015, completely contradicting her story about the Mumbai conference being her first interaction with Jasim. Employment records were entirely fabricated. Her supposed engineering degree was purchased from a diploma mill, and she had never worked for any of the companies listed on her resume. Everything about her innocent background was a lie. When Hassan presented this evidence to Abdul and the family, they faced an impossible decision. Jasim was completely devoted to Riya and had already threatened to cut ties with anyone who questioned her integrity. His emotional investment was so deep that he interpreted any criticism as personal betrayal. He saw her as the innocent victim of his family's jealousy. The family consulted with Dubai's top family law firm about fraud implications and asset protection. They spoke with cultural consultants about managing the potential media scandal that would inevitably follow. But they knew that revealing the truth would destroy not just Jasim's marriage, but his faith in his own judgment. When they finally gathered to confront Jasim with the truth in early October 2015, his reaction was more violent than anyone had anticipated. He refused to look at photographs, bank records, or phone transcripts. "You're all jealous of my happiness," he screamed. "My wife is pure and innocent, and you're trying to destroy her with lies." But the evidence was overwhelming, and deep down, Jasim knew his innocent bride was anything but innocent. The traditional Al-Rashid family unity crumbled that night, setting the stage for a confrontation that would end in blood just days later. October 15, 2015. It had been exactly 7 months since Jasim first met his supposedly innocent bride in Mumbai, and 4 months since their fairy tale wedding. What should have been the happiest period of his life was about to become his worst nightmare. Vikram Patel, a 29-year-old construction supervisor, had arrived in Dubai 3 days earlier on a tourist visa. Unlike his previous visits when he had stayed hidden, this time he came with a purpose: to collect his wife and the substantial funds they had extracted from their latest victim. The Innocent Bride Act had worked perfectly, and now it was time for the final phase of their operation. On that fateful evening, Jasim returned home early from a business meeting, hoping to surprise Riya with dinner at her favorite restaurant. He had been trying to repair their relationship after the family confrontation, still believing in her innocence despite mounting evidence. As he climbed the stairs to their penthouse, he could hear voices coming from inside, soft laughter and intimate conversation in Hindi. Using his key, Jasim quietly entered the apartment. What he saw destroyed everything he believed about his innocent wife. Riya was in the arms of another man, counting stacks of cash on their dining table, the same table where she had served him traditional Emirati meals while playing the perfect wife. The innocent bride he had defended so fiercely was clearly intimate with this stranger, discussing their successful operation in explicit detail. "The fool never suspected anything," Riya was saying, her voice cold and calculating, a tone Jasim had never heard before. He was so desperate for love, so pathetic. It was almost too easy to play the innocent village girl. She laughed as she kissed the man Jasim would later learn was her real husband, Vikram. "This is more than we made from the Saudi businessman," Vikram replied, examining bank statements spread across the table. "Your innocent act is getting better with each target. The pregnancy excuse should buy us another few months before we disappear." Jasim stood frozen in the doorway, his world collapsing as he watched his innocent bride reveal her true nature. The woman who had cried tears of gratitude at their wedding was now mocking his desperation. The innocent girl who had seemed overwhelmed by his generosity was discussing her pregnancy as a business strategy. "Riya!" Jasim's voice cracked as he stepped into the light. Both conspirators spun around, caught completely off guard. For a moment, Riya's face showed genuine fear before she quickly tried to resume her innocent facade. "Jasim!" You're home early. This is my cousin Vikram. I told you about him. He's visiting Dubai for work. But Jasim had heard too much. The cash on the table, the bank statements, the intimate way they had been holding each other, all of it painted a picture that even his desperate love couldn't deny. "Cousin?" he said, his voice growing dangerous. "Is that what wives call their husbands now?" Vikram stood up, no longer bothering to hide the truth. "She's my wife, you fool. Has been since 2013. You were just a bank account with legs." He pulled out his phone, showing Jasim photos of their real wedding, their real life, their real love, the love Jasim thought he had found. The innocent bride Jasim had defended against his family's suspicions began laughing. Not the soft, grateful laughter he remembered, but cruel, mocking laughter. "Did you really think someone like me could love someone like you? You're twice my age, desperate, pathetic. I had to close my eyes every time you touched me." Something inside Jasim snapped. 7 months of devotion, millions of dollars, his family's respect, his business reputation, all of it had been sacrificed for a woman who saw him as nothing more than a walking ATM. The innocent bride he had protected with his life was standing there with her real husband, counting the money she had stolen while mocking his love. "You destroyed my family for this?" Jasim's voice was barely human now. "You made me choose between my blood relatives and you were lying the entire time?" "Your family was right about me," Riya said with a cold smile. "Too bad you were too stupid to listen to them." The innocent bride act works every time. That word innocent triggered something primal in Jasim. He looked around the room and saw a heavy crystal vase he had given Riya as a wedding gift. In that moment, 7 months of manipulation, lies, and betrayal crystallized into pure rage. "Innocent?" he screamed, grabbing the vase. "You want to know what innocent looks like?" What happened next lasted only seconds but would haunt Jasim for the rest of his life. The crystal vase connected with Riya's skull with a sickening crack. She collapsed instantly, blood pooling beneath her head as her innocent mask finally slipped away forever. Vikram tried to run, but Jasim was faster. The second blow silenced him permanently. In less than a minute, the man who had been manipulated and robbed had become a double murderer. As Jasim stood among the wreckage of his life, staring at the bodies of his innocent bride and her real husband, he realized the final, devastating irony. She had been right about one thing: he was indeed pathetic. But now he was also a killer. The police arrived 40 minutes later, called by neighbors who had heard the screaming. They found Jasim sitting calmly beside the bodies, still holding the bloody vase, repeating one phrase over and over. She was supposed to be innocent. The innocent bride had gotten her final revenge. In destroying his trust, she had also destroyed his soul. The trial that began in February 2016 became the most humiliating spectacle the Al-Rashid family had ever endured. Every day, as Jasim sat in the defendant's chair charged with double murder, the newspapers screamed headlines that destroyed their reputation forever. Respected sheikh murders wife and her real husband, and Dubai businessman killed his already married bride. The most devastating revelation wasn't just that Jasim had committed murder, but that the entire Dubai elite society now knew he had been married to another man's wife for 4 months without knowing it. The whispers in mosques, business meetings, and social gatherings were merciless. How could the Al-Rashid family be so blind? People asked. Their son married a woman who was already someone else's wife. What kind of family doesn't even verify a bride's background? Jasim's mother bore the brunt of this social destruction. The woman who had once hosted charity events for Dubai's most prominent families now couldn't show her face anywhere. Former friends crossed the street to avoid her. Her weekly tea gatherings, once attended by ministers' wives and business leaders' mothers, were suddenly empty. Your daughter-in-law was already married when she entered this family. The whispers followed her everywhere. She was pregnant with another man's child while living in your home. How did you not know? How did your son not know? The shame was unbearable. The innocent bride had made fools of them all. The business impact was immediate and devastating. Within weeks of the murder, major contracts worth over $80 million were canceled. Business partners who had worked with the Al-Rashid family for decades suddenly found excuses to terminate their relationships. We cannot be associated with a family whose judgment is so poor that they welcomed another man's wife into their home. One former partner explained to local media. The family's oil services empire began crumbling. Employees quit in droves, not wanting their resumes associated with the Al-Rashid name. Khalid and Omar, Jasim's younger brothers, tried desperately to save the business, but the damage was too extensive. By the end of 2016, the company that had employed over 3,000 people was forced to close most of its operations. The social ostracism was complete and permanent. The Al-Rashid family, once invited to every important wedding, business opening, and cultural event in Dubai, found themselves completely excluded from society. Their children faced the worst consequences. Jasim's nephew was expelled from his prestigious international school when parents complained about having a murderer's family member in their children's class. His niece's engagement was broken when her fiancé's family discovered the connection. We cannot allow our son to marry into a family that was so easily deceived by a criminal, they stated publicly. If they couldn't tell their daughter-in-law was already married, what other secrets might they be hiding? The cruelest blow came 18 months after the trial. Jasim's mother suffered a massive heart attack while grocery shopping. Witnesses said she collapsed immediately after overhearing two women discussing how the Al-Rashid mother was too stupid to realize her son had married another man's wife. She died in the hospital 3 days later, never having visited her son in prison. The shame had literally killed her. Her funeral was attended by fewer than 20 people. The woman who had once been respected throughout Dubai's charitable community was buried in relative obscurity. Even in death, the whispers continued. She died of shame because her family was fooled by a girl who was already married. The younger generation suffered the most lasting damage. Khalid's children changed their last name to their mother's family name to escape the stigma. Omar moved his family to London, unable to bear the constant reminders of their destroyed reputation. "We can't stay here," he told local media before leaving. "Everyone knows us as the family that was tricked by a married woman." By 2018, the Al-Rashid mansion in Emirates Hills was sold at auction to pay legal fees and remaining debts. The property that had hosted Dubai's elite for decades became a private residence for a family from India. The bitter irony not lost on anyone who remembered the scandal. The case became a cautionary tale told throughout the UAE. Remember the Al-Rashid family? Parents would warn their sons. They thought they were welcoming an innocent bride, but she was already married with a husband and child. Their son became a murderer, their mother died of shame, and their family name was destroyed forever. Jasim received 15 years for double manslaughter, but the real sentence was served by his entire family. The verdict against him was just the beginning of their punishment. In 2020, 5 years after the murders, a local newspaper ran a follow-up story titled, "Where Are They Now?" It revealed that most Al-Rashid family members had either left Dubai or changed their names. The business empire was completely gone, sold in pieces to pay creditors and legal costs. Today, Jasim sits in Dubai Central Jail, still 3 years away from possible parole. In rare interviews, he speaks about the innocent bride who destroyed everything his family had built over generations. "She appeared so pure, so grateful," he says. "But her innocence was just a mask. She killed my mother as surely as I killed her." The innocent bride had achieved her ultimate victory. Even in death, she had obliterated an entire family dynasty. Sometimes the most dangerous weapon isn't a gun or knife. It's an innocent smile that hides a heart full of malice. The Al-Rashid family learned too late that innocence can be the most destructive force of all.